holy hiatus! In the midst of our being so jover, we found our way to being so back. This is Flight Check, Season 3, Episode 24, back from the grave once again to talk all things FlyQuest. My name, as always, and for the first time as a married man, Mr. Sandy Toes. For the first time, to my left, another married man, Mr. Knoxwar.
Let's go!
And on the far end, destined for greatness someday himself, our good friend, Mr. Curly Double Q. Gentlemen,
I'll get there eventually.
We are
time.
here. I'm in a new apartment, got the new background, new lighting, everything has changed. Here's the new ring. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. There we go.
Yep. It's there. We can see it.
Everything
Beautiful.
is going so smoothly tonight. Curly definitely did not freeze
Nope.
right before the show began.
I never have technical issues ever.
Technical difficulties, never heard of her. Don't know.
Nope. Never rang a bell.
We're gonna crack open a cold one tonight, as always.
I've got me a Fago.
Oh, I do like the Fago. What do you? Yeah, are you gonna be?
Hold on, I'll make this work. One sec.
All right, Knox
out here sipping air.
trying to find a drink right as the show goes live.
We always appreciate a little stitch in Ohana.
All right, there we go.
Okay, beautiful.
Fellas, it has been a long 2.5 months.
Yeah.
About?
I think it was the end of August that we had our last show.
Oh my god.
Frankly, I don't even recall what the topics were.
I actually do not either.
You know, I'm gonna pull up Spotify right now and see what it says on the description.
Did we have a guest? I feel like we had a guest.
Oh, was our last one with
Was that Nick?
No. So we had Nick on at the end of July.
Oh, then we had like one more, I think.
Let's check the YouTube. All right, YouTube.
And then we had...
We're so professional, guys. We remember everything we talk about. This is all just a buffer for time.
Well, honestly, this whole show tonight's going to be a lot of recollection for a little while. It's just a catch-up episode. How have y'all been? How have we been? How has Fly been? Etc. How's esports winter going?
Esports winter is taking its toll, I think, on many people. Us. Our hearts go out to many of the folks who have lost jobs, lost steady employment in the recent weeks, especially to, I'll say it, especially to all the folks at Evil Geniuses who are not really responsible for a lot of the decision-making processes that were going on over there from the top floor, but were nevertheless affected by those decisions and the community's reaction to them, and probably unfairly vilified at times. I know 100 Thieves also had some layoffs. I think there were some game companies themselves with some layoffs. So
NRG had layoffs even. They just won the LCS championship and made quarterfinals of Worlds. Like,
Golden Guardians is effectively frozen right now. Like, there's a lot happening. Or, I guess, a lot not happening.
Yeah, depending on what way you want to spin it. Nox, I'm going to ask you first, and then Curly will hit you. So, last couple months, I don't know, has there been anything big in your life? You know, any, like, huge changes that you want to talk about?
Just, like, I started wearing a ring on my finger. I mean, that's kind of big. Nothing significant about it, but...
any particular reason for that one, you know?
I want to say there's a song, like, if you like it, put a ring on it or something. I don't know. I was kind of inspired by that a little bit. I mean, I thought it was kind of a cool song. I was,
Beyonce with words of wisdom.
Yeah. What is the... So now that you've had, like, about a month, I would say.
No, literally a month today. A month ago today was my wedding. Today's the 13th, and I got married on October 13th.
There you go.
Today's the 1 month anniversary.
So what would you talk to us about? Kind of, I mean, how has it been? Like, what's the 411?
So it's just been nonstop, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
So we got married, and then the rest of the weekend was spent time like family, opening gifts, hanging out with more family, packing for our honeymoon, and then leaving for Portugal. And so, which I mean, we can both talk about Portugal because, funnily enough, most people don't know this, but both our honeymoons were in Portugal, just at different time frames.
Right.
So you and I could compare notes a little bit about what we did and what we explored. But so yeah, we went to Portugal for a week, and then we came back, and I got back at 4 p.m. on Tuesday, and then I went to, and I'm jet lagged after like 24 hours of travel.
Right.
And then I had to go to work at 8 a.m. the next morning, and I was like, what? And no, I've just been back at work. Her family is actually all still here in our apartment, and so they're all actually having dinner right now. But it's fine. I'll catch up with them here in a little bit.
Nice.
So it's just been busy. It's just been go. Because the other major news that you guys are kind of aware of is I am actively looking to buy a freaking house. What the hell?
Yeah, talk to me. What's
in
the
this economy,
like
bro?
Is it a buyer's economy, seller's?
It is not a buyer. It is not a buyer's economy right now. To give you an idea, I mean, granted, like all three of us live in very different places, right? So I don't know what y'all's interest rates sound or look like or whatever, but the lowest we have been quoted was so clarification on this. This is with both our names on the loan.
Sure.
The lowest we've been quoted is at 7.625%. That is the lowest quote that we have found, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, not great. Not great.
And anyone who hasn't like done houses, like that's a lot of money. Yeah. There was one option where basically the guy was like, hey, just due to weird like first time buyer, home buyer like programs that there are,
right,
you could put only her name on the title and it would actually get you a 7% title. And she was like, no. I'm like, we both need to be on the title. It's like, that's fair. Yes. Housing is just not,
This is just a lesson. When you were 12, before the housing market crashed, you should have invested with all that money you were making.
Yeah, should have foreseen this happening. I don't know how a 12-year-old me didn't see something like this occurring.
Yeah, what was I doing 15 years ago? Literally just like middle school. Like
I was. What
the hell are you doing?
I was starting 8th grade 15 years ago.
Bro, were you like playing Halo 3? Crazy.
I was heavily into probably Civilization 3 or 4 at the time.
You were probably also into World of Warcraft at the time. I'd say that was.
I was into World of Warcraft. I was deep into Wrath of the Lich King progression at the time, probably.
Oh my goodness! See, I only hopped on for Legends or Mists of Pandora because I like the panda dudes. Mm-hmm. They were really cool.
But yeah, no, that's pretty much been a quick summary of my life for the past month. So marriage, into honeymoon, into work, into buying a house. Like go. So now let me flip the question on you. So in that 2-month period, mine was within the past month. You've had a little bit longer, Sandy. You've let it marinate a little bit. So how has it been for you the past 2 months? Because you also just casually decided to start wearing a ring on your finger. I promise I'm not stealing your flow or anything.
No. Very casual decision to start wearing this ring. No. So married September 24th. It was great. You know what? I don't think you mentioned Austin or Knox. Sorry.
Wow, we just doxing my name
right now.
Whoa! No one ever saw that before. Crazy.
What I don't know, for some of you folks out there, if you know this, but both Knox and Curly were at my wedding, and then
indeed.
Myself and Curly showed up at Knox's wedding 3 weeks later, which is pretty dope, in my opinion. This little show of ours, taking us all the way to each other's weddings, 2.5 years after it started. So, pretty good. No, it's been great.
Fun times.
Yeah, coming up on 2 months, just over a month and a half of being married. It's great. Living with your best friend is fantastic. I highly recommend it.
True. I would also, because you get to experience it for the first time. I've already been doing it for quite a while.
Right. Yeah, we were not living together beforehand, so we moved to a brand new apartment. This is not a new bookshelf, but you can see it kind of behind me. There is some League of Legends stuff on there. I've got a Gangplank barrel, a Bard Meep. I got a Team Liquid Blue on the little horse guy on the shelf as well. And I've got a red minion, red side minion as well. So the League of Legends is representing, even if you can't see it. Otherwise, it's been mostly mundane stuff, getting everything kind of set up around the new place. And I mean, you had it a little easier, Knox, because you didn't have to come home and
immediately move.
Well, we moved right before, but
well, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
We moved right before, but still, there was so much stuff that still needed to be bought and set up and all this stuff. So it was a lot, and it's finally kind of like tailing down. The bookshelf I did I guess it was last week I finished it. And then I finally set up like our internet mesh system today. I'll be frank. I kind of put it off until I had to do it today because I needed it for the show. So
I gotta have my background.
I was like, oh shoot, no, not the bookshelf. The internet mesh system that I have, so that I could like hotwire my desktop into the network and everything. So
Curly, the lesson here today for you is that when you get married, don't buy a home/apartment right beforehand or right afterwards. Do that crap like literally like 6 months later, because
wait a little.
Me and Sandy were a little stressed.
Right. Yeah, it's been.
I will cross that bridge when I get there.
Sure.
Yeah, you got time. You got time.
No
but
problem.
now you got the lesson though. You know.
I'll know, and hopefully by the time I'm in that position, the housing market will recover. Who knows? Also, for anyone who thought they were tuning in, for anyone hoping to tune into an esports podcast, I'm sorry. Tonight, apparently, this is a life talk podcast.
Don't worry. We'll get there.
We'll get to it.
We'll get there. There is some esports at the end.
one last question. Obviously, Curly, yourself. Last couple months, you what I do know is you attended 2 weddings. You went to a music festival in Texas.
I did.
And you've continued working, which we all love. That
we love sources of income.
We all love chasing that bag. But we do love chasing that bag. Tell the good viewers, tell our friends what the last couple months have been like for you.
So obviously the fall weather is really nice. In like New England, and it's a lot cooler in Texas. So I decided to do 2 like trips because I was really bored during the hiatus, and so I wanted to go visit New England. And you happened to have a wedding at the same time, so I was like, sure, I'll show up. Like I was walking downtown Salem, suddenly Austin, dang, me too. Suddenly Knox and his fiance at the time show up, and I'm like, hey, let's hang out. And then you were like, hey, my wedding's today. I was like, oh shoot, let's go. And had a great time. But then also Boston, like, we're really glossing over how cool going to both of your guys' weddings was outside of the weddings too, because like Boston is a really walkable city. I love walkable cities, like the public transit, everything amazing. They had a great public market, a lot of history there. It's fall weather, which I'm a huge fan of fall weather, so it was just a really fun experience. And then when I went to go to Knox's wedding, so fun fact, in the time that we were gone, I got a car, but it's a manual car. So it took me a second to learn how to drive it. And something that really forced me to figure out how to drive it is I had an unfortunate accident around the corner from my apartment.
The curse of flight check strikes.
With my roommate's vehicle. And so I didn't have a choice the next day but to drive myself in my car, squeaky as it was. Because, arrogant me thought, I'll pick it up, no problem, real quick. It's not the changing gears that sucks. It's getting it started. Because if you're not fast enough, you'll just stall out. And if you're too fast, you sound like Speed Racer. And I'm like, guys, no, I promise I'm not trying to flex. I just can't drive this car. So yeah, but I drove all the way to Texas, which was an amazing experience. I cruised through Ohio and Kentucky and most of Tennessee in a matter of 8 hours. Don't check the speed limits on that. But then it took me forever to get through Arkansas. And then Texas was also an experience because originally I was just going to take the interstate around Dallas down to Austin. But for some reason, Google decided, hey, we've got a faster route for you on these state highways that are a lot more convoluted and have school zones in the middle of a 70-mile-an-hour road. Which makes no sense. And so I ended up getting there 2 hours later than the original estimation. But I saw my best friend there. I then, obviously, after the wedding, went to Austin City Limits, saw Foo Fighters, which was amazing. Saw Noah Khan, which now I listen to his album at least twice a week. Like,
jealous it's just, on both of those.
Yeah, it was a great time. It was a great time. And then I came back and I was Red Foo for Halloween at my bar. Easily the best DJ we've ever had for a club night. If you guys have a party and you want to fly me out, I will gladly make it party rocking all night. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. And dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while, 2 months. Oh, also, I started going to the gym again today.
Nice. Love that.
Pog.
Huge.
Yeah.
We love self-life improvement. Dang, look at us. This is what happens when we have a hiatus. We're like productive.
Yeah.
See, it's the opposite for me. Now that we're back, I'm ready to do things with my life again.
No, so that's the whole point. Is now that we're getting back on the podcast, now we ruin all of our productivity and just talk about esports the whole time.
Exactly.
That's just how it is.
Yeah,
absolutely,
that's how it works.
Absolutely.
All right, well, speaking of talking about esports, it's time to do what we have come here to do. FlyQuest, you know them, you love them. We feel all sorts of interesting things about them. I think I would say.
So actually, real fast, Sandy, just give me your thoughts on this. Would it be better to just knock out Worlds real fast and then just spend the rest of the time on Fly, or do you want to do Fly now?
Sure, yeah. Like, we can hit Worlds now.
Okay.
I mean, I was just trying to move on to the esports side of things.
The esports, yeah, no, for sure we're going to esports. I just feel like let's hit Worlds just because it's the finals, and then we're a FlyQuest based podcast, so we can base the final finale portion of the show actually on Fly. So I guess to kick it off, have you guys been watching at all, or?
So I have something. Yeah. I have something incredible.
I have obliterated my sleep schedule.
Yeah, so I have something incredible to tell you guys. I have not watched a single second of Worlds 2023.
Oh my god, it's like we were on hiatus from esports.
Not even a VOD, bro?
I have not watched a single second of Worlds 2023. The reason being is that the time zone for it is so god awful for just like my life and my work schedule and everything that it's just completely impossible to keep up with what's going on. I could not watch play-ins. I could not watch Swiss. I didn't watch quarterfinals, and I didn't watch semifinals. And I can almost guarantee you I will not be watching finals this week either. And it's not because I don't want to. And I have followed the storylines completely. It's been very interesting. I've still been doing like my pick'ems on LoL esports and whatnot. But it's just it's been at such bad times for me that I just can't watch any of it. I do have like some overall takeaways and stuff that like I want to put out there as like someone who's been kind of more on the outside of it. But Curly, you just said you've obliterated your sleep schedule. I think actually Arkham Avalon said that in the chat. But
oh yeah, he also said that.
But completely ruined it. So I know you have Nox. How about you? How much of Worlds 2023 have you been watching?
So the one really, really cool thing about having your wedding and honeymoon right at the start of Worlds is that when you decide to go to a different continent, the time zones change a little bit. So for context, the group stage was starting at about midnight to 2 a.m. my time.
Yeah.
When I went to Portugal, group stage was happening, and so it started at 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. at that time. So I would wake up, and then while we're just kind of moseying around the hotel and like taking our time getting ready for the day, I just kind of have it on my phone. I'd be able to check it live, and it was perfect.
Just have some breakfast with League, dude. That's
great. it was great. And then I came back here, and the time zones went back to 2 to 3 a.m. And I was like, all right, well, I haven't watched a single series live, and all I've done is I've watched highlights. I've seen the highlights at least, but that is all I've been able to do. I am not watching anything at 3 a.m. That is way too much work.
See, group stage was a nightmare for anyone that didn't live on the West Coast, because West Coast, that's like your normal 9 p.m. That's when most people are probably gaming anyway, you know. But like quarterfinals and semifinals, those have been at much better times because those have been at like 4 a.m. on the East Coast. So rather than staying up all night like I did the first time, I just went to bed early and had a long day. And so that like we've played so many different scripts with my sleep schedule over the matter of those couple weeks. And I think I might try to get to normal at the end of the next one. But that's your meta for watching Worlds as an American.
See, I will say I was debating because neither of you are Formula One fans, right?
I pay attention to it very loosely.
Okay, I'm interested when it comes up in conversation.
So the Formula One Las Vegas Grand Prix is this Saturday night, and it starts at midnight Central Time,
which is insane to me.
Yeah, that blows my mind too. Anyway,
can you imagine being in Vegas and all of a sudden there's like an F1 race at 11 o'clock at night?
I mean, I feel like if you're in Vegas, you're like throwing your normal sleep schedule out the window anyway.
11 p.m. in Vegas is basically 4 p.m. in the afternoon. So
True.
You're riding a buzz. You just lost $300 at the craps table. You walk outside and you hear.
It'd be sick.
You're just confused.
So my point though is so the Formula One race should start at about midnight Central Time, 1 a.m. Eastern, right? And then theoretically that race should last just about 2 to 2.5 hours, like before and after stuff happening as well. And then the World Finals should start at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., or 3 a.m. Central Time, 4 a.m. Eastern. Mm-hmm. So there's an angle where it's like, do I just completely sack my sleep schedule for that night and just pull an all-nighter, go straight from Formula One Grand Prix in Las Vegas into the World Finals in South Korea? Like, it's tempting. I'm really, really tempted. But I don't know if I have the willpower to do it.
See, my plan for finals is I know I'm going to be working my Saturday night shift. But by the time League starts, we'll just be cleaning up. Everyone's going to be gone. I will be subjecting my fellow bartenders to League of Legends for that time until we're done.
Right.
And then I will, luckily in my car, my dad gave me this little phone dock, so I can just have it right there with it like out being a distraction. So I'm just going to, bam, Worlds. And then every red light, what's going on? What's going on?
So anyway, that was a time zone strategy that I was thinking of possibly, but
I think you got it, man.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if I end up pulling the trigger on it or not. Anyway, let's actually get in a little bit of details about Worlds, right? Or I guess we don't need to recap or anything. You guys want to just talk finals or maybe like semis?
Well, let's talk NRG first. Let's talk
NRG. Yeah, we can talk NRG. We can talk NRG.
Yeah, let's talk NRG. Let's talk NA. I think I've been catching up on some of the podcasts, you know, the Dive4 Estate, JLXP, stuff like that, listening to some of their takes.
Let's actually start with the biggest disappointment, if you guys mind. Team Liquid.
I was going to exactly bring up Team Liquid. Yeah, let's talk TL. This I want to say it's the kind of thing that folks should have foreseen, but that sounds a little too much of, I'm using 2020 hindsight now. But at the same time, this team just did not look good, from what I can tell. And they had at least one matchup, versus NRG. That was a very winnable matchup for them, and they could not even do that. They lost to GAM as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, that is a tough thing, that's a tough thing to walk away from. I would say, because it's an interesting question of like, okay, well, who had the biggest expectations? Because I don't know if you would say TL. I had the biggest expectations for them out of all of the NA teams. I think I had higher expectations for Cloud9. But
yeah, C9 definitely.
But TL was pretty disappointing. How about for you guys?
Well, for me, because when I stayed up and I was watching that first match versus T1, I actually had about 30 minutes of like hope, because TL opened the gates strong. They were actually holding their own against T1 for a long time. They just were never able to close. And then they pulled a classic NA Baron after what was already way too long of a game and lost it all.
Yeah.
And then I think that crushed them. I think that like really shot their mental. I think that also, as you like saw in interviews later, like alluded, it seemed like it broke the team's trust in each other a little bit. Like APA, despite being one of the best players in that game, somehow ended up becoming the odd man out of the whole roster, at least in the eyes of Piosik, from what it sounded like in his losers interview after getting eliminated, So I think TL gave me hope for a minute, but then eventually met my expectations, because as much as I try to be an optimist when it comes to LCS, I never have faith in TL internationally, because I have a lot of respect for Steve. He's very candid as a CEO. He gives us a lot more than most other like esports orgs ever will, in terms of telling us what the thoughts behind moves are, what the plans are, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't agree with the end result, because it always leads to this. It always leads to, if TL somehow escapes Summer, this is what happens, no matter what they've done. And I don't think the switch ups, or it sounded like they might be trying to do Team LCK again. I don't think the formula is right. And I think the one thing they did right was APA and Harry. Or, yeah. I'm sorry, Jan.
So I'm going to flip it on you. I think the most disappointing team internationally for NA this year was Golden Guardians.
Whoa! All right.
Damn! Wow! Skipped over the LCQ. Or yeah.
I mean, just straight up, Golden Guardians were this hot new team coming in from spring, beating FlyQuest, and I mean, granted, FlyQuest was imploding a little bit, right? But they still made it to international, made it to MSI, took a game off BLG, and put up a respectable performance at MSI, right? We were pretty happy with them. And then for like the first 4 weeks of summer, because it was a shortened summer due to the player walkout and everything, they still looked solid. They still looked like a very competitive team. Like one was like, okay, this looks like a respectable NA team. They could maybe, they're not going to do anything massive at Worlds, I don't think, because NA as a region's not that good. But it looked like that they could be respectable at Worlds again, like they were at MSI. And so that was the hope and expectations I had for them. And then I don't know what it was about week 5 and week 6. They just kind of started falling off. They started looking a little odd. They didn't quite look the same. And then you get into playoffs and they end up losing in that 3rd, 4th place match to Team Liquid. And it's like, this Team Liquid team should not have been here in the first place. I could have seen a world where they were the ones fighting BDS to get into the play-ins. That was okay, I could see a world between them and EG, right? Maybe TSM. But no, it was Golden Guardians dropping out. And so then Golden Guardians drops out and it's okay, that sucks. But man, if they really get back to the form that they had in spring and the first half of summer, it's damn, we're going to clap BDS, right? The hype was everywhere.
Yeah.
NA EU, it's great. They have all this time in Korea, all this practice. They have all this rest and preparation. Like, it should be great. And then you get in, you get 3-0 clapped by BDS and Chatham's Garen, right?
Well,
like,
that was what a lot of folks were saying, was that if Golden Guardians showed up as regular season Golden Guardians, then it was going to be an easy 3-0 over BDS. But if they showed up as playoff Golden Guardians, then it was not going to be that. It was probably going to be a 3-0 the other way. And guess what we got? We got playoff Golden Guardians. And they got absolutely rocked. And then BDS went on and did actually fairly decently well.
Until they got absolutely screwed over by Mad Lions.
Well, you know, luck of the Swiss draw and all that. But, I mean, yeah. I will say hats off to BDS. Like, played a very, you know, they fought their way through play-ins and made it all the way to top 16. Like, you know, that's not something to overlook. Should Golden Guardians have been there if that was their regular season level that they were playing at? I would say no. If they were playing at their regular season level.
Oh yes.
Should Golden Guardians have been in that position? Absolutely. But clearly something was broken in the team that they just could not fix between playoffs and now. Whether that's a meta issue, whether it's a player issue, a coaching issue.
I think for me, the biggest changes like that I saw in actual gameplay were from River and Gory. Like they just didn't show up the way that they did most of the season, and I don't know where that came from. And I know some people were like rumored like, oh, they're not taking it as seriously because they're at home and maybe they just want to stay home. And I'm like, I don't think that's it. Esports players, like, they know what they're doing. They know what they're signing up for when they go international. This is like, I don't think they just wanted to dip out, you know? I think if there was anything going on, it might have just been a rut in their ability to play the game. Like, they're still great, but when it was time, they just couldn't show up. It happens to many pros, you know?
Yeah. Let's talk about Cloud9 real fast. This is actually my contender for most disappointing NA team. You have a roster with a young prodigy at AD carry, 3 guys on this team between Fudge, Blabber, and Sven, who have been playing together for a substantial length of time now, and have been, Fudge and Blabber especially, at the top of their region for a minute. Sven, who has, you know, come along to some extent in the support role, but still brings a lot of institutional knowledge to a team, even in the support role. You know, has made Worlds many, many times himself, has played internationally for years, and a mid laner who, frankly, held his own pretty well with some, you know, a lot of these international mids. This is a team that should have destroyed Fnatic in that best of 3, and should have put themselves in contention to get out of, at least get a chance to play a best of 3 to get into bracket stage. So I was thoroughly disappointed by the way they went out. I'm trying to remember. Their draw, I know, was not the most favorable for them. I'm going to go look and see who they played. They had LNG. They beat Mad first round. But then they, you know, unlucky draw LNG and T1 back to back. But then you get thrown up against a Fnatic team that, frankly, had also not looked good. This Fnatic team had only beaten GAM, and Cloud9 was the only other team it beat. You know, it ended up losing to BLG, LNG, and Weibo. So it's not like this Fnatic team was, it's not like Cloud9, goes into this best of 3 and they look across the rift and they're like, oh crap, that's JD Gaming on the other team. It's like it's Fnatic. It's like the number the number 2 or number 3 seed from EU.
Yeah, they're number 2.
Yeah. So, but like I would argue the number 2 seed from EU is not not the number 3 seed or the number 4 seed from China, right? As we can see.
Yeah, I mean, it was number 2 NA versus number 2 EU. Straight up. It should have been a fair match.
Yeah. And I think they failed when the time came. So that's my contender for biggest disappointment. And look, we're not like trying to just absolutely dump all over NA teams. There is one NA team that surpassed all of our expectations. And we'll talk about them in just a second. But yeah, I'll solicit y'all's thoughts on Cloud9 as they look to not quite run things back, but they're not making massive changes. Emenez going to military service, reportedly bringing in JoJo, reportedly bringing back Vulcan, but Fudge, Blabber, Berserker still supposed to be on that team. So it's like they seem content with the core that they have.
So I will say really quick, Emenez did clarify in his Discord that the military meme was a joke. He is
was it? Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
No, like it wasn't super obvious. Like but he is actively looking for teams in various places.
Gotcha.
So, he is on the market if any teams do want him. I very quickly, my thoughts on Cloud9 are, I think them and TL, both of those squads mental boomed each other because it was very from what I'd been reading behind the scenes and from like some of the whispers I've been hearing, Jimenez was pretty much out of the team really early on. Like during like warm-ups before play-ins had even started, there was like rumors like, yeah, you're not coming back next year.
Yeah.
And so part of that was like rumored. I don't have concrete evidence on this, but rumored that was part of the reason why you had this outburst on Korean solo queue with the one European player, and that was how that whole thing started because he was just frustrated, and that's why he lashed out, stuff like that, right? But the point is, like, like you can see it in Team Liquid Squad, their YouTube series. Like that team was obviously mentally boomed. They were not performing well. I think Cloud9, from what I'd been hearing, was also somewhat mentally boomed, and they were not performing up to expectations because they just weren't expecting the squad to stick together. Mm-hmm. So I think more than anything, they're not the most disappointing for me because obviously I said Golden Guardians, but I mean, they are still disappointing. It's like a reputable organization like Cloud9, like I kind of expect you guys to have your shit together a little bit better, right? Like I know like you may not be planning on keeping a certain player around for the next year, but like, I don't know, man. Like you got to keep it under wraps better. You got to keep the maturity level up. I know these are young kids, and I know Jimenez especially. I mean, look at his history, right? He is not a mature dude, but you got to be able to keep that stuff under wraps and make sure that they're actually all still working together and playing together and striving to do their best. And so the result of 1 and 3 losing to Fnatic 1-2, I mean, it's not surprising. I wouldn't say it's necessarily an upset or it's anything like that, but I mean, it's still disappointing. So at the end of the day, it sucks. I expect better from Cloud9, but I'm not like, dang, that's like really, really bad, you know?
Yeah. No, that I completely agree. Curly, what do you think about this?
I mean, I always have neutral expectations with Cloud9 internationally because much in the energy of TL, like even if they achieve domestic success, I don't always see it like make its way to the world stage. Mm-hmm. And then especially I was wary after all the drama had developed on Twitter around MNS in solo queue. And like the theories like, will he even be playing or not? Like if there is that, and now with what Nox has added to it, it's like that's a team that might not be all together as they were previously in the season. And togetherness, I think, is a very important part of like an esport, especially a team game like this. Like that T1 squad is tight. Like even with the rumors of the fact that that with 3 contracts ending, they might be exploding after this, they are still together. And you see it in the way that they play. And so for me, C9, like couldn't really disappoint me because my expectations were already mid to begin with.
Yeah. That's fair. All right. A happy note now. NRG defying the odds. I mean, we can be honest and say that they had a very favorable draw. But 2-0ing G2, they came into that matchup as massive underdogs.
Huge underdogs.
G2 pre-tournament, I think a lot of people just expected them to just make it straight through to bracket, especially with this new format, which I do want to touch on real quick later on. But massive underdogs in that matchup. Took down Mad Lions along the way. They did lose to Weibo Gaming first off, but they beat TL in an NA run back. And then they 1-0 an EU team, and then they 2-0 the best EU team at this tournament before bowing out in quarterfinals. And I am, I'm sad that reportedly, Ignar is not returning to this team. But from all that we can tell, Dokla, Contracts, Palafox, FBI should all be returning from what we know at least, and unless there's like some breaking news that happens right now, that is at least the 4 that should be returning to this roster, which is very exciting. And I think with the right support, this team could really look to do a run back of their summer success, but 2-0ing G2, making it to quarters, huge success for this team, huge success for North America. I'm very proud of NRG. The faithful are rewarded. Nox, how do you feel about how NRG did this year? Overall, I'd say success.
Far and away, I think this team. I'm trying to let me get my record straight, right? So this would probably, in terms of NA teams, right? Most proud. I'm going to say 2018 C9 is the team I'm most proud of, and then it's probably 2014 C9, followed by 2014 TSM, 2019 Team Liquid at MSI, and then this NRG team at 5. I'm very, very proud of this team. This is one of the best NA performances that I've ever seen. The only reason they're not higher is just, again, due to the strength of schedule, right? They effectively beat 2 EU teams and an NA team to be able to get to where they did, but that doesn't change the fact that they still did it, right? Mm-hmm. They made it 2 quarterfinals. They beat the number 1 EU team, the one that people have been hyping up all year, the one Vedius said on camera saying that G2 had a 97% chance of winning. Like, this team did it. This squad upset the biggest EU team there is.
Yeah.
Is it bigger and better than beating any of the Eastern teams? No. That's what Cloud9 did. That's what TSM back in the day kind of did. It's a different generation now, but that's fine. Like, that's why they're number 5. Like, and that's still a really big accomplishment because, like, what other NA teams can be able to say that they've done that, right? There's none other. It's a very exclusive group. So I'm very, very proud of these guys. It's all NA talent, which makes it even better, especially as a huge NA fanboy since Season 2, baby. I'm extremely proud and happy of these guys, and I hope they can do it again next year. I really, really do. I'm cheering for them. As a squad, like, I'm just nothing but proud. I'm just so happy.
Yeah, no, for sure. Curly, how about you? How you feeling about this team?
I personally was very hyped for the team. My faith never ever wavered for them. I from the get-go put them as getting into the knockout stage. I even went so far as to try and predict them to 3-0 in their quarterfinals. Sadly, that did not happen. But at the start, they actually really did have a good fighting chance. That series was a serious mix of emotions because I was very proud to see them there. They started out real well, but you could see them slowly deteriorate throughout the series. But despite not having beaten an Eastern team to get into quarterfinals, I think their achievements are still warranted. especially because of the doubt placed on them all season. Like NRG was a sleeper coming into the summer. Like people had put them higher than before, but no one really would have predicted that they would win the LCS.
Yeah.
And then they go ahead and they win the LCS. First split back for NRG. First time any of these players really like get that achievement. It's like, it is amazing for them. And especially with all the like history that each player has of being paycheck stealers or washed or anything like that. And so when you take that origin, yes, they only beat TL and C9 and, or I'm sorry, was it TL and Mad?
Team Liquid, Mad, and G2.
Yeah, TL and Mad in G2. And you can say what you will about TL because I already talked shit on them, and Mad because everyone always has memes about them in the international stage. But that
Mad
G2
is
thing,
not a bad team, dude. They're not a bad team.
Mad is not a bad team. They're just unfortunate. I will say that. I'll take that to the grave. But G2, like, we're the Giants of the West. If there was anyone else in this, like, in the LCS, in the LEC, and even the lower seeds for LCK and LPL, a lot of people would probably put G2 above them. And so taking them down on what has been one of their hottest years, like as they've been growing in strength, is something that should be commended. Yeah. And for me, it's very hyped to see.
Yeah. Here's what I know about this NRG squad. They put this team together. Folks go, oh, that's nice, you know, but you know, they might make playoffs. They go ahead and make playoffs. Oh, that's nice, they made playoffs. But they won't get top 4. They got top 4. Oh, they got top 4, but they won't make it to finals. They made it to finals. Oh, they won't win finals, but it's nice that they got there. They won finals. Oh, it's nice that they got to Worlds. But they'll get destroyed by whoever they draw. They go 3-1 in the Swiss stage. Or they go 2-1. Oh, that's nice that they, have a chance to play a best of 3 to make it out of Swiss. But they won't beat G2. They 2-0 G2. And then, okay.
Analogy there.
Yeah. We'll end it there before they go on and play Weibo. But look.
And that's where the story ends.
And that's where the story ends. But look, here's the thing. And now Weibo's in the finals. So what do you want to, okay? Like, let's say Weibo wins this weekend, right? Oh, no. NRG lost to the, eventual champs. Okay. Whoops. Sorry we lost to the top, at least the second best team in the world, yeah, this team deserves a lot more respect than it got all year, and I hope people show it to them next year. Real quick,
I was gonna add really fast. I got corrected in chat. I completely forgot CLG's 2016 MSI run. That is number 1.
Oh, the classic.
That is far away number 1, and I'm ashamed to have forgotten. And especially as a huge NA fan, that I was just touting myself as. That's my bad. I will own that.
CLG, actually, I learned this stat from the JLXP show. Historically, the best NA team against EU, 7-2. Against EU squads from CLG. So if you transfer that over to NRG now, 10-2 against EU. So that, our best team if we're going to send someone up against an EU squad. Real quick, let's just hit the tournament in general. Man, there's so much to talk about tonight.
It's fine. It's a long comeback episode.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I've got till like 9:30, so we'll see what we do.
Never mind. Okay, we can maybe speed it up a little bit.
Yeah. I will say, format, I love it. Every single game of Swiss has mattered. Did matter. There was not a single day. Do you guys remember how, we used to have group stage, and then like one or two, like you do first week of groups and every game mattered. Awesome. Then you would get into the second week of groups, and you would and because each group like played one group per day, you would sometimes play like the first 2 games, and then you're like, all right, great. Well, there's, 4 games left that don't matter whatsoever, and the teams are just going to kind of meme on stage, and none of it's going to matter. Every single match matters in this Swiss format, and I love that. And I like that it feeds directly into a bracket final, or into top 8. There's a couple things that I would maybe try to tweak, such as preventing preventing teams from the same region from facing each other so early on in the Swiss format. Like maybe rounds 1 and 2, you try to avoid that as much as possible. And then like rounds 3 and onward, it's less avoidable there. But yeah, I love the format. How do you guys feel about the format?
Format's excellent. No comments. Just maybe if you're gonna have actually the last or the World's qualifying series, make it a part of Worlds, damn it. Because as much as it was interesting to see what they put together as just the LoL esports branding, because it was just kind of neutral branding, it's just weird. It makes it confusing for the viewer. It's different. And like, again, while it was cool to see the LoL esports branding, the World's graphics are just so much better, dude. Just put them on there, please.
No, it's true.
And make it a part. Make it a part of Worlds, because that's what it is. It is like the pre Worlds, because there's the play-ins, and it's the play-in to the play-ins.
Right.
So just fix your however you make that, and then what you said about the region like barriers in the first couple rounds of Swiss stage. But no matter what you do, bring back that ref. That ref was the main character of all the Swiss stage.
Yeah. Nox, how do you feel about the format?
I do love the change. I think it is an improvement. I think there are still improvements to be made, to be honest. I like, for instance, like, I won't even use a Western example. I'll use Damwon, actually. So Damwon had to play KT Rolster twice, even look at KT Rolster. They played nothing but Eastern teams the entire time, and then immediately got slapped with JDG at the end. Like, I don't really think that's like completely fair. Like, they're clearly a team that was deserving of making the top 8, but the fact the road that they had to get there was absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. And then Damwon got shafted as well because they had to play KT twice. Like, those are hard matchups. Like, so stuff like that, I think probably isn't really the best. I would like to maybe see, and we could theory craft this at some point another time, right? But like maybe a rule stating like, hey, you can't have rematches, or maybe you can't have same region matchups within like the first 2 rounds or something like that, which, I mean, you couldn't the first round, right? But maybe the first 2 rounds you can't have same region matchups, because that's what happened with NRG and TL. So yeah, I think there's little improvements that can be done. And I know John Needham and the rest, like Riot Nas, are very adamant about the fact that bracket stage should be single elimination. And I think even still, actually even more so after watching the Swiss format, I don't think it's the play. I still think you need double elimination. Because if I'm being really honest, like, Weibo being in the finals right now is really, really cool and awesome and impressive. I don't think what should happen, though, is BLG gets, like, loses in a game 5 and then they're out right there. Like, yeah. I think I really do want to see, like, BLG playing against, like, JDG again. Because, I mean, I know that matchup's been played over a million times, but it's Worlds. Like, think about how hype it would be if BLG finally beat him on the world stage. And it's like, here's our chance. We're going to do it. And we finally did it for the first time ever, right?
Right.
Or LNG got completely shafted by T1. Maybe it was a bad day. Maybe they just, like, are countered to T1. Like, it's scenarios like that. It's like that make you wonder what if, right? Because these are really, really good teams. And it's just like, sorry, you got a bad matchup. I mean, look at Weibo versus NRG. Everyone was looking at these 2 teams as the 2 weakest teams, and they had to play each other in the quarterfinals, right? Like, I don't know. My point is, like, there's an argument, even if it's not a strong argument, that Weibo got the easiest path to finals there is. Whereas if you had double elimination, like, that argument just disappears because at the end of the day, you still have to win all of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much my only thing on this format. Overall improvement. I enjoy it. It could be even better though.
Totally. Who do you guys have in finals?
T1.
T1, baby.
Get
Faker his fourth. I'm ready for Faker to get his fourth, and Carrier deserves a world championship. Damn it!
I'm gonna lock it in on my pick'ems right now. T1, baby. I think it's. I don't know what it is about this team. They come alive at Worlds time. The Faker is gonna carry these guys kicking and screaming to a world championship. That's what I think is going to happen here. So, all right. That's Worlds. Now let's turn our attention to the one...
The organization that this podcast is created for. Right.
Yeah.
What in the world is going on with FlyQuest?
There's a lot. There's a lot that's happened with FlyQuest.
There's a lot. There's a lot that's happening. I think it's important.
FlyFighters always doing shit.
Oh yeah, I've got I've got a couple of start GG things pulled up. But what I'm gonna say to start, I'm not happy that Prince is probably boomeranging back to Korea. I'm not I'm excited to see Masu. Don't get me wrong. And it's not so much the, Prince is leaving FlyQuest that I'm unhappy about. It's I'm assuming he's going back to Korea part of it. There's a lot of teams over there that could use a good AD carry. We brought over 2 Korean imports, one of which did not work at all, and the other of which you're really only going to keep if you have that other one with him. Like, you're not just going to keep Prince by himself and, keep him on the team without, like, another Korean player there as well. In my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think I'm disappointed in the way that this team is basically breaking up. It's going to be a brand new FlyQuest roster. FlyQuest. Going to be a brand new FlyQuest roster next year. The rumors are already out there. Right now, if you haven't heard, the rumors are Bwipo, Inspired, choose your character in mid lane, Masu in the AD carry position, and in support coming over from 100 Thieves, Busio. So, veteran talent up top, a young phenom prodigy core in the bot lane, and remains to be seen who will tie it all up in the mid lane. I know Nox is very excited for when Jensen gets announced as the new FlyQuest mid laner.
Why would you joke about this?
Why you do this to me?
Stop. Stop right now.
Yeah. But and Lee in the chat just now, he nailed the point I was going to bring up. 2 years in a row now with a brand new starting 5. We completely wiped the 22 team off the map. Mm-hmm. They got Bud Light aced.
Yep.
And brought in a whole new 5. To be fair, that 5 almost did make it to MSI. But after that, things just kind of collapsed.
Yeah.
And now here we are again, this team getting Bud Light aced again. And I'm not saying that it's like, okay, management's looking at the players and saying, all right, all 5 of you, gonzo. I'm sure there's a lot of different factors in who decided to leave, who wanted to be there, who wanted to stay, things like this.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel great that there is zero retention 2 years in a row. There's no development. There's no player for me to build trust in. And it's hard for me to just kind of like slap, a label of trust alongside, new veterans that suddenly I'm supposed to be like, oh, Inspired? I've always loved Inspired. Yeah. He's my new best friend. Yeah. Go ahead, Curly.
I mean, retention has been a sorry, hold on.
Curly trying to survive over here.
No, but retention has actually been a consistent issue at FlyQuest for not just these last 2 years, but 5 years. Because it started with the Worlds roster, the only time we've ever made Worlds back in 2020, getting yoinked out from under us with the way that Nick made it sound in one of our interviews with him, or one of our post interviews. But so that's the start of it. And then after that, the only 2 players that played more than 1 full season and stuck around for 2 full seasons are Johnson and Jose Deodo. We switched out top consistently. We switched out mid consistently, and we switched out support at least every season, and then this year quite a bit. And so it's like, this is something that the org has consistently struggled with. And granted, now we have to assess, this is a new FlyQuest. This is not the Showcase Greatness. This is not Trisha. This is not Nick. This is not any of the Immortals switchover. This is a brand new version of FlyQuest. And so this is likely something that was going to happen this season anyway. Like, unless there was an extreme amount of success, I'm not surprised that they decided to explode the roster, because it's like maybe the new investors put pressure on management to put pressure on staff to make these changes. It's a cascading thing, because it's just might be the way we run things now. I don't want that to be, because as someone who grew up as a Bills fan and lives who now is in Cleveland, where I have the Browns, I have actively talked against stop switching your coaches, stop switching your manager, have some retention, because it doesn't, it just creates instability. If you don't have something stable as your identity, you're never going to perform amazingly. You might have lightning in the bottle for a moment, but you won't perform consistently. So no matter how this team performs next year, whatever they are, I want us to hold on to at least 2 players and a coach, damn it. I know that's going to be a year from now, but that is my opinions on the whole thing. Because as hype as I am for Bwipo, love the guy, favorite player, everyone knows I'm a Bwipo fan, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of the fact that this is where we are.
Absolutely.
Sheesh, you were sounding like me there for a second, Curly.
No, I love it. Knox.
Yeah.
Any response to what Curly had to say there?
Not necessarily response. I really agree with a lot of it, right? Yeah, in fact, actually, Curly, your whole point on the history of 2020 into 2021 into 2022 into 2023 and now into this year, it was exactly what I was going to highlight, right? And so, no, Fly has not ever been known to keep a roster around, right? And at the time, there were pretty much always reasons for it that at least I thought were understandable, maybe not necessarily always justifiable, but understandable, right? And so I would say this past year was probably the most damning. Nick explained it himself. He finally had resources. He wanted to actually really try and go for a win because he had resources. And basically in the process of doing that, it threw away all of the development that he had been doing from 2021. I know, Curly, you highlighted that they only kept 2 players from 2021 going into 2022. I was fine with that because you found 2 core pieces that were great. And then in 2022, you had Afro, you had Took. I think you upgrade your top side properly, and maybe you change out Jungle. That would have been 2 player swaps, and you kept 3 going into 2023. I think that roster could have competed this year. I really, really do. But Nick was offered resources. The new ownership came in and said, here, have a bunch of money. Go get some really talented Koreans. Go get some really talented players. Get some big names. Get that W. And they almost did. but at the end of the day, they did not. So, yes, this year, new management. Nick is gone. Old Fly management is gone. Scout is gone. Loyota, who's been with the team since the very beginning practically, gone. It's all new people.
Which I think means we need to have high expectations. Like, if the old people are leaving, we knew what to expect, right? We knew what to expect from Nick. We knew what to expect from Loyota. And that's not in a, like, we didn't expect a lot. No, like, we knew that they were going to produce good things. But we don't know what the new people will produce. Whenever you have, like, you know, a football team or a baseball team brings in a new general manager or brings in a new coach, the expectation should be, hey, this guy is being brought in to build a winning roster. The other part is we don't know who is putting together the FlyQuest League of Legends roster right now. There's no formally announced general manager. Now, there are rumors behind the scenes of who it could be, but there's no formal acknowledgement from the team.
I mean, we can acknowledge the rumors. Like, the rumor currently is Andrew Barton. That is
no, and I'm happy to acknowledge the rumors, but I'm saying, like, okay, let's think about, like, you know, I was trying to come up with, like, a League of Legends, like, dumb name. Joe Minion. Joe Minion on the street. You know, Joe Minion on the street has no clue. All he sees, you know, when the season starts, you know, is FlyQuest says, hey, here's our new roster. And then, like, if he goes and looks for, who's FlyQuest's general manager? Unless he's, like, delving into the Pokemon League Twitter accounts, which I doubt he's going to get that far into, he's probably not going to find out.
Yeah. I think at any point you start looking at GM names, you start delving into hardcore fan territory. Exactly. You may be like a low-tier hardcore fan, but you're probably a hardcore fan at that point.
Right. So it's very difficult to trust this roster-building process for me right now when there is nobody who I can point to as accountable for that roster's success or failure. I could point to the coaching staff and Nick Fan in 2020 and 2021 and 2022 and 2023 for their relative successes or failures, for getting us to Worlds, for bombing out in 21, for doing pretty fine in 22, and for bombing out in 23. I could point to the people who put that together. I cannot do that for this roster right now. And that is what concerns me.
Yeah. I guess the one caveat, and I don't necessarily agree with this because, I mean, I know he likes to have a hand in it, but it's technically not his job. But Papa Smithy has said before that he wants to take ownership of the successes and failures of this team. I mean, yes, you are the president, right? But I at a certain point, like, you can't just start going to, like, say, I don't know, Google messes up for the day, like they have a power outage and, like, the servers are down for the day. You can't just be going to the CEO of Google going, like, this is your fault. Like, yeah, it is your fault in a very small way.
Right.
But, like, I need to be able to point to the general manager of that section of Google, like, who's in charge of those servers, right? Like, this is you're the reason why these servers are down right now. FlyQuest's roster right now, like, that's the GM. And so this, like, yeah, so your point being is, like, whatever happens to this roster, it's the GM, but we don't know who the GM is.
Yeah. And to be fair, it's not just the GM. It's going to be the GM and the coaches, whoever they bring in.
Yeah.
And then the players themselves, you know, if they're willing to work together and improve and succeed. It's all of these factors coming together. But, yeah, I think my concern is there's not a ton of... there's never been a lot of accountability for the absolute failure that this season was. And, you know, so we'll see how things go in the future.
Do we want to discuss the hypothetical roster itself and what we think of it?
I'm happy to. Curly, I know you're excited, between coughs.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
To talk about Bwippo in the top lane. A return for this gentleman, if true.
Absolutely.
The Bwippo inspired pairing. Talk to me about it. How do you feel about it?
So for me, Bwippo and Inspired are going to bring a very ragtag angle to the way that we play the game, which can really throw off a lot of other teams. Because Bwippo, I don't see him kind of really as a traditional top laner. Like, he'll play the game the way it's supposed to be played when he absolutely needs to, but he has one of the deepest, most unique champion pools I've ever seen in a top laner. I think back to 2020 Worlds when he had Singed at the start of that Fnatic series that got them a win. Like, it is really, really awesome. And I have also watched his streams, and he is one of the most intelligent Western players out there. Like, he has so much game knowledge going through his brain that it's like sometimes I think he actually gets overwhelmed by it, and that's when he trips up. But he's his confidence, his competence, along with Inspired, who we've seen as a really good jungler. He did great over on Rogue back in the LEC, consistently bringing them to top 3, even if they never broke it. And then he was part of that EG roster that absolutely slammed NA and got Danny and JoJo their first win. So I think just those two powerhouses are a great start to this roster. And then the faith in the bot lane, I think, is actually phenomenal, especially after what we've just seen with NRG, that NI talent can do things. And so with Masu being the pin god he is, with skyrocketing through the NACL, and then with Busio finally having a year of experience under his belt, I think there's a lot that this lane can do together. And so it's all a matter of how do you fit it together with coaches and the mid lane.
Yeah. No, a lot of great thoughts there. Knox, anything in there you want to respond to or from your own thinking?
So, more from my own thinking. I guess I'm just very confused on what the objective of this roster is, right? So you pick up Whippo, who is a very veteran top laner, is extremely good, just as Curly was going on about a moment ago, right? You have Inspired, who is probably one of the best junglers in the past few years over in Europe and in NA. Did have to take the past split off, but even in spring, he was very, very good still, paired with JoJo. And then you skip over the mid lane and you get to the bot lane, and you have Masu, who very hyped prodigy, right? Looked very good, #1 prospect in the NACL. Just nonstop highlight play after highlight play, and in the NACL, right? Looks great. And then you have Busio, who from a year prior was also the #1 NACL prospect, right? And so you have these two. I mean, I know Busio has a year of LCS under his belt now, but still pretty green, I would say. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
And so you have this brand new rookie AD carry who has a lot of potential, and you have this still very green support that you're pairing together in the bot lane. And you have these two extremely veteran topside players you're pairing together in the top side. And you have this unknown mid laner that, based off of Sheep Esports reports, was supposed to be JoJo, right? Fly was really, really gunning for JoJo. Which, I mean, if the rumors are to be believed of Andrew Martin being the GM for Fly, would make a lot of sense because there's a lot of connections already there on top of Inspired already being there, etc. That would have been a huge combo. Fell through for whatever the reason may be. And so now it's just kind of who do you pick up in mid, right? You pick up a rookie mid laner, and then it's okay, this sounds like it's more of a development roster, right? You want this kind of, say you pick up APA, because let's be honest, APA is probably not sticking around on TL. I don't know what TL's plan is, but I just don't think TL is keeping him. So say we pick up APA. So you have APA, Masu, and Busio, which are 3 very green players, right? And then you have these 2 extremely veterans in the top side. It feels kind of like a conflict of interest. It's clashing styles of what the objective should be, in my opinion. So let's say you pick up a veteran mid laner, whoever it may be, European mid, right? Pick him up, They come over, and so you have these 3 Europeans in the top side, veterans. They're good, they're experienced, they're ready to try and go for a win. And then you have this very green bot lane that may not be able to stick up to the same standards that this top side and mid are doing, right? And so I think it's kind of this weird middle ground of like, no matter what you do, I think it's kind of a clash of objectives for what Fly is going to end up doing. So that's kind of what I'm going to be watching going into this year is like, are you trying to win? Are you trying to make sure Masu and Busio get experience together and really become into their own? If the mid laners new, are they going to try and develop them and let them develop as well? Or are you going to try and go for a win? I would say personally at this point, with all the turnover that FlyQuest management has done and behind the scenes staff had done, I personally want to see it be a rookie mid laner. I like to see it be APA personally. If you want to grab a different mid laner that's NA based, I'd be very curious who you find. I don't think there's a lot of other NA based mid laners who are prepped and ready to be able to handle the LCS stage. But if you want to go for it, I'd be a little more on board. I think in general though, oh shit, Evie's in chat. Anyway, my point is I would like to see it be like an NA rookie mid laner. Just because I would like to see development based off of for this squad rather than trying to go for a win off of a whole new management set, new coaching set, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, like Lee says in chat, pretty much the only option right now is Young. Copy, I think Copy's gone. Everyone hopes for Copy. I don't think Copy's coming back. So yeah, Young would be like the one potential, but I don't think Young's quite ready yet. As good as he was on DSG, I think he needs a little more time. So those are my 2 thoughts on it. I'm hoping for rookie. We'll see what we get.
Yeah, I mean, hey, didn't we have this like mid laner on our challenger team? Oh man, what was his name? Oh yeah, that guy
Spearaxe.
Spearaxe? Dang. If only we had kept him around.
That would be crazy.
That would be crazy.
That'd be absolutely crazy.
Absolutely crazy. And then we wouldn't have to...
hear me out. What if we just yoink Caps from G2?
Is Xiaohu a free agent? Like, where's that guy?
I mean, like Caps and Bwipo have played before.
Oh, yeah, hang on. FlyQuest Knight. I mean, just, I think... All
right. Let's not get too crazy. No. Too crazy.
Yeah, I don't know who I want to see in mid lane for us. I will be frank, I don't like any of the options. I don't really know if I like the APA option. I think APA has a lot to show, potentially. To your point, Knox, I think... I wonder if to some extent he was held back a bit by being on a fully Korean-speaking team.
I think he was. I think he was definitely held back by being on an all Korean-speaking team.
And I'm gonna be honest. I wonder if being on a full English team would unlock him a little bit more.
I also think that APA with Bwipo, like personality-wise, I think they would actually mesh really well on the Rift.
Yeah, Bwipo's done coaching with APA before because they were both Team Liquid. They had multiple coaching sessions together.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it happening. I don't know if I love it. I don't know if APA is like the guy that you need or that you take in order to go for a championship. I think if we took APA, this team would...
For the development angle.
Well, and then I ask myself, okay, are we back to 2022 where we're kind of hoping for like a top 5 finish and try to push for Worlds, 3rd or 4th seed at the end of the year? It doesn't feel like a team that's actually trying to win now. So, and look, I'm fine with going back to, a development year, do a bit of a rebuild, because clearly slam the money bags on the table angle, that did not work as well as we thought it was going to. So I would say that the development angle could work theoretically if that's what
I also heard someone throw around the theory of live VTO, which I wouldn't be against.
I have heard the VTO angle as well. And for those of you who are not tracking, Inspired reportedly has his green card, meaning that only Bwipo and a theoretical mid laner would be the imports on this roster, which really changes the complexity of everything. Here's what I will say, actually, to your point about APA Nox. If Inspired has that green card and you don't utilize that second import slot, I don't think the team's looking to win. I think that
for sure, I agree.
If you don't utilize that second import slot, you're not actually interested in winning this year.
For sure, I completely 100% agree on that.
But if that's the case, I want the team to come out and say, hey, we're focused on developing Masu and Busio and whoever this mid laner is that they get in, because it's probably going to be a younger mid laner. And if that's your intention, say so.
And I'd be cool with it. I'd be 100% cool.
And I'd be cool with it. But don't tell me, yeah, we're bringing in APA and we're going to go win a championship this year.
Hear me out.
Because I don't see it happening.
Saken from K Corp has an expiring contract on November 20th. In fact, all of K Corp, aside from Targamas, expire. No, aside from Kalist, expire this year.
So, I've heard, or I've read rumors rather, that Saken is already signed to another. I forget if it was an LEC team or if it was a ERL team, but he's already signed to be going somewhere else.
There's a decent number of European mid laners from the ERL area that would be worth going after.
I'm just a big LFL fan. That's why I always look there first.
Hey, we could always sign Dejor from Ex Astralis,
All right, bud.
All right. Coming up, probably got another 10 to 15 minutes here. What else is important for us to touch on FlyQuest-wise?
I'll be honest. I'm sorry. I have not been tracking any of the other. Obviously, Sandy, you and I have been very, very busy. Curly, you too. I've not been tracking a lot of the other Fly stuff.
So I know this. The big things is actually. So there's been a lot of fly fighting going on. I cannot give you a recap on all that. If anything, I think we dedicate most of next week to talking about the rest of the stuff. Because as we all know, we're primarily League players, or at least knowledgeable in League here. But the big things I have seen is it seems like Fly Red, I'm thinking it's the Valorant team, has actually been achieving good success in their tournaments the last couple months. And the
CSGO team, I think, is who you're thinking of.
Damn it. All right, I mixed it up. But they also, what's really cool is we're actually putting on 2 Valorant tournaments ourselves, because there was already the first round, I think it was a week or 2 ago, and then they're getting they're sourcing teams for the next one, and it's supposed to be kind of a Game Changers-esque thing, but run by FlyQuest with a really decent pool. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about, and I think if we do our homework for next week adamantly, we've got a great show.
Yeah, I will say
because it is a lot. It has been so much.
Yeah, I will say, I know the past little bit has been very skeptical about what Fly's been doing recently. I do want to give props for prop. I want to give credit where credit is due. Fly has done a very, very good job, especially in the atmosphere and economic ecosystem that we're in right now with esports. Hello, esports winner. Mm-hmm. Fly has actually done a very, very good job of putting on tournaments and giving people opportunities to put stuff together and participate and get chances to compete. Right. So really big props to Fly on that. It's been for Valorant. It's been, I think, for CSGO. It's been for Smash. It's been for, I think, a couple different fighting tournaments that they've had little sponsorships for. I love to see it. this kind of goes back to, like, I don't know how sustainable that is for the time being, but I mean, it is nice to see at the very least. As a fan, like, I do like seeing it. It is good. I really do hope that in some way, shape, or form that that can continue to be sustainable, or there is at least an ROI on doing those things, or return on investment.
Yeah, I'm pulling up. So the FlyQuest Red team, they are in ESEA Season 47 Advanced. And I'm trying to find what position they are in the standings right now. If someone else can fill for me while I do this. Where are you?
That's another thing. I'm not knowledgeable on where to keep up with all this.
So it's on faceit.com.
Okay.
God, there's so many teams in this. This is insane. How are there so many teams in this league? I'm scrolling through. I've hit 300 teams.
Oh my goodness. Are CS tournaments that big?
I mean, the open qualifiers can be.
True, the format is different because that's what's always kind of made me confused when it comes to FPS things.
Oh,
is like the
Europe.
way.
That's why I'm not seeing it. All right,
we're in North America, Santos.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think outside of that, that's about pretty much all I had fly-wise.
I think regardless, we don't have enough time to break into all the other stuff FlyQuest does right now.
Yeah. I would say we could probably maybe do a recap on the a non-league related stuff probably next week. And then we could also discuss World Finals ending, and I'm assuming at that point I have a sneaking suspicion that since LCS EV was in our chat just now, they're waiting for the stream to end, and I unironically do think they're going to drop the FlyQuest mid laner after the show ends. So just for the sake of like maybe letting people gossip a little bit, maybe we should wrap up.
That's
Definitely.
True. That's true. Now remember what I always say, guys. Don't trust FlyQuest rumors. Wait for FlyQuest announcements, or else you will be baited by Shot and Parker. It's just going to happen. It's just going to happen.
So, yeah, I guess, Sandy, you want to start winding us down?
Yes, I will start. Sorry, I'm like, oh, I gotta find this. There's no Wikipedia entry for it. There's nothing. Terrible. All right.
NA production.
We were doing so well, guys.
We were doing pretty well.
We were doing amazing.
I got sidetracked into finding where the hell the FlyQuest Red standings were for Season 47, Open Division, North America, blah, 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 or Advanced Division. Okay. It's been great being back tonight with the boys, with all of you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into this brand new episode of Flight Check. Finals for Worlds this weekend, 5 days from now. Crazy times.
Insane.
T1 versus Weibo. Be sure to tune in. I won't be, but you can.
Be sure to tune in at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., or 1 a.m. your time if you're in America.
9 p.m. if you're, in some crazy time zone right now.
If you're in Hawaii. I think, unironically, Hawaii would be about 9 p.m.
There we go.
Maybe.
So,
Hawaii, the ideal spot for watch party.
It is. You can follow all of us on x.com, no longer twitter.com.
I still go to twitter.com. It's still Twitter.
For all of our reactions and thoughts to when the League Pokemon drop the FlyQuest mid laner news right after we end the stream. But if you would like to do that, it is at SantosDB, at Noxwar with 2 R's in, at Curly_QQ_. Please make sure to hop into the Flight Check Discord as well. During the hiatus, all kinds of things were still going on in that Discord. Very active. Lots of great people in there. esports discussion, roster rumbles, food posting, non-esports sports, all kinds of great things taking place in that Discord. So you can hop on in there and hang out with us at any time of the day, not just on Monday nights. If you missed any part of this episode, the VOD will be up on YouTube tonight or tomorrow morning. If you're watching that and would like to catch the show live, we do broadcast the episode usually every Monday night, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. Knox, for the first time in 2.5 months, any final notes, shout-outs, or plugs before we wrap up?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to say, shout out to my wife. That's my wife.
Oh, yeah.
I got a wife. Yeah, shout out to her. I love her.
Pretty cool. Curly, how about you?
I'm going to shout out... Actually, I'm going to shout out Angie /Numi for being, number one, biggest hype man for Flight Check every once in a while that I've seen on Twitter. She's great. But more importantly, for being like the person that always responds to my K-pop tweets, because I've recently going through a K-pop phase again. And she's like, bro, you're right. Like all this. So thank you.
There you go. All right, my shout out. I've got a couple. First of all, I finally found the standings. FlyQuest,
nice.
FlyQuest Red is they are 3-4 currently. They are in 31st place out of 61 teams. It looks like you need top 16 to make it into playoffs. And if going off of the last round of ESCAC Advanced, they'll play 12 matches, so they've probably got 5 more. So playoffs still very much within their reach. They are not out by any means whatsoever. And I think even if they make top half, they'll still be... I don't think that they will be knocked down to, back down to Maine or whatever it would be. So I think they'll be fine. They're not going to get relegated or anything like that. So that's all good. Second shout out. Also, my wife. It's great.
Hey!
Third and final shout out. If you are interested in any kind of like sports manager kind of stuff, but getting like really in depth with it, I play on this website called simfba.com. We play fake college football, fake college basketball, fake NFL, fake NBA. It's a lot of fun. It goes in like real time too. So like every week my team plays 2 games and that's it. And that's all I can do. And I have to recruit and I have to do all these kinds of fun things. So if that sounds interesting to you at all, if you like Football Manager, but you want it at a much slower pace, check it out, simfba.com. Not an ad. I just want more people there.
This man loves this game. He was playing all during LCS finals.
Oh, you know it. I literally did the NBA draft. My team, I'm coaching the Denver Nuggets in this fake NBA. We are in second place in the conference, and we are currently being power ranked in the top 4. So things are looking good.
Stonks are rising.
Stonks are rising. All right. We will be back next week. Crazy to say that. We'll be back next week discussing the end of Worlds and more FlyQuest news because there's just so much to talk about still. But we got to wrap up for now. So what we're going to say is stay safe out there. Don't forget to hit the head on the nail.
Haven't heard that one in a while.
And we'll see you all very, very soon. Adios, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace, y'all.